There's this 200-year-old bank that was more powerful than entire countries. It financed the Louisiana Purchase in America. It helped defeat Napoleon. It was massive. But the bank ended up losing £23 billion in Argentina. Back in 1890, when that happened, they were about to collapse. But then London's elite banking community decided to invent something that just never existed before: the financial bailout. I'm talking about the Barings Bank. And the reason why too big to fail has become a common concept in the banking world today. The mechanism used to save Barings Bank all those years ago is the same blueprint that governments have used ever since, especially into the 2008 financial crisis. And guess what? They'll just keep using it again and again. That's why today we need to look into the Barings Bank and how they became too big to fail for centuries. Between 1885 and 1890, Barings Bank pushed more than £140 million of British investment into Argentina. That amounts to nearly £23 billion in today's money. Barings was one of the most powerful banks operating in the Americas. If a South American country wanted to build a railway, or if the US wanted to buy land, the money most likely came through the Barings. Back then, there were no global institutions like the IMF or the World Bank. Nations turned to private lenders like the Barings to fund infrastructure, wars, or even pay workers' salaries. This gave private banks an overwhelming amount of power and leverage. They could influence national budgets, foreign reserves, and even influence how countries spend on public projects. The Barings Bank had enjoyed this kind of control for decades. It may have been one of the reasons why the US became a superpower in the first place. When the United States was still newly independent, Barings took a massive gamble. They backed America when almost every other European banker called it a bad bet, and that decision tied the bank's future to a rising superpower and made it one of the most powerful financial houses. Without the Barings' early investments, America's economic and geographic shape could look very different. Before all that, though, Barings had already been shaping history back home. Back in 1792, Barings shifted its strategy from trade to empire building. Its loans kept British armies marching against revolutionary France. The bank's founder, Francis Barings, wanted to prove that wars weren't going to be won by generals alone, but by bankers behind them. Now, the interesting fact is that Barings himself was personally against the conflict, but still cooperated fully with the government. In doing so, he earned about £190,000 in profit. Adjusted for inflation, that's about £25 million today. That's the kind of contradiction that defined the world of high finance back then and perhaps still does today.